and then sin gets its strength from the law, and the law puts you under a performance system. You're out there trying to do something that Christ has already done, and that's
He's already did.
Yeah. But see, the answer. So then, with my mind, I serve God, but with my flesh, I serve the law of sin. So your freedom from sin is not by trying to dress up the flesh or try to get the flesh all holy and righteous. It's to renew your mind. Be renewed in the spirit of your mind.
Given that he used that same analogy, but it had a different outcome, he said, because the mind has the power of the body, that means now that your body won't be.
The problem with that, though our outward man perish, our inward man is renewed day by day. What takes place with the new man on the inside of you have God. Now, maybe that's not the right way to say it, but the idea of energizing the new man by taking in the doctrine. You yield your members as instruments of righteousness unto God. In other words, whereas if you are dominated by sin, then your members are going to be yielded as instruments of unrighteousness. But now when you take in the doctrine, and the doctrine is stored up in the mentality of your soul, and you begin to function on the basis of that new mindset, that new understanding.
Right.
Now, the members of your flesh, the members of your body, there is a volition exercised about how your body is going to be. In other words, it's dead, but how to make a dead man live is by infusing it with the life of God.
That's right.
And when God looks at this, he sees it as dead. Won't have any condemnation, as it were. In other words, those things won't add up. They won't gain anything for you in terms of your service unto God. But the way you're going to live that Christian life, the way you're going to be.
You have to renew your mind, because the carnal mind is empty, and you can't. And carnal.
And they that are in the flesh
cannot please
God. So
you have to get this doctrine.
So as Paul says, so then with my mind I serve God. So I'm going to be honest with you. For us to put the emphasis upon the doctrine is right. But to allow people who criticize us for putting the emphasis on the doctrine and always wanting to focus on, well, what are you doing, is wrong. Because, see, their motivation for doing is quite different from our motivation. Our doing should be the outgrowth of the doctrine working in us. When Paul says, work out your salvation with fear and trembling, what is he talking about? He's not talking about work to show people that you are saved. He's not talking about working to be saved. He's talking about you have salvation in you. You have life in you. Now work that out. But remember this, it is God which worketh in you to will and to do of his good pleasure. So it's as we take in the doctrine, when you talk about working out your salvation with fear and trembling, in Paul's mind, it's just simply letting the words of Christ dwell in you richly. And that's where the dynamics of the Christian life manifest itself. It doesn't manifest itself truly in any other way. That's the only way it's going to manifest itself, is with the doctrine working itself out through the life of the believer. Yes?
What about those who said that's a proof that you have to live right?
No, because see, when they say there's a proof, when they say you have to live right, they're missing the point of grace. Grace doesn't tell you have to live right. I mean, you can say you have to live right, but it depends on why do I have to live right? It's the answer to that question that's going to make the difference between whether or not my submitting to what you're saying is going to be profitable or fruitless.
See, we do it. Grace motivates you to do it because of what God and His mercy has done already for you.
And not because I have to do it.
Not that you have to. Right.
To get that position, because
Right.
you are.
Because you're there. You have
You
it
see,
already.
and again, you got to remember what we're talking about here is we're talking about the freedom to serve, the freedom to live the Christian life. You've been set free. Now you don't have to worry about your eternal destiny.
Right.
So that sets you free. You don't have to worry. You don't have to worry about failing,
That's right.
stomping your toe and falling in the mud. Why? Because you've been set free. Everything that needs to be done has been done and been done totally and completely. So much so that there is nothing in your life as a believer that you ever have to worry about that's going to cut you off from God. Therefore, being justified by faith, we have. Not trying to get it. We have it. And because we have it, then we should serve God. We're free to do that. We don't have to worry about the enemy or the adversary.
That's true.
And the other issues in life, just, really it boils down to why do we do what we, and the thing I'm getting at here is sometimes just being a fool for Christ. Because see, that's ultimately when you begin to allow the doctrine to work itself in you and work itself out through you. And again, I say allow, because that's the issue. When you talk about your members right now, the only way God is going to have control of your body is when you yield. You see. Now, that's what grace does. Grace puts you in a position where it's your choice to live to the glory of God or not. He's not forcing you to. He's not got a carrot and stick approach. You can never say, Lord, but if you just do this, I'll serve you. I'll serve you for the rest of my life. People who say that just don't understand. He's already done.
It's a win.
Maybe it's pulling on that door a little bit out there, just enough to nudge it. Because it's your...
You could lock the door. I don't think we're going to have anybody else joining us.
Yeah, we'll be done here in a few minutes. But unless there's another interest we don't know about.
Yeah. This is an aside. A friend of mine had found that there was a man living in their attic for about 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And they didn't know him. He was just up there.
How do you get up there?
Yeah, that's a...
I don't know.
You know, they made a couple movies about stuff like that.
Yeah, it happened.
Attic.
But I forgot how I got on that, but I wanted to share with you that you're free.
That's always good too.
And there's nothing really should be an obstacle to your living your life to the glory of God. And when you talk about your members being used to the glory of God, when you talk about how we've been utilized in other ways, it just be like Paul. I mean, he was sold out.
He did.
Sold all the way.
But when we say that, grace is sufficient, we have choices in grace. It doesn't mean that we have to suffer through things that we can get out of.
No,
in this
by
life.
no means at all.
Right.
In other words, a lot of the suffering we
yeah.
do because of the bad
Because we
choices
bring,
that we
we
make.
bring on ourselves.
What about
But in spite
those
of
who
that,
shall
even if
live godly?
yes,
Those who will live godly
shall
shall
suffer persecution.
You don't have
But
to
I'm just talking about just the normal cares of life and the
Right, the
frustrations
things that are the same as for unsaved. It's
Because,
just stuff that happens
you see,
throughout life. Yeah.
we get derailed not so much by what the adversary oftentimes is doing with regards to evil, as we get derailed by just the normal cares of life and the trials and tribulations of life.
The suffering for persecution stuff like Wayne and Nicole was telling me how people say in the grace movement, they look for the people, say, where are the people, and they wonder, what's up with this message? Y'all don't have a lot of people involved with the message and
Well,
stuff.
why don't you lock it and you can tell?
Okay.
I know, it
should.
It should.
They just trying again. Do you lock it?
Yeah, it's locked.
Come on, Mike, let's go.
It's got to be.
Two people.
It's got to be another. It's got to be another.
What about this back entrance?
Back.
Let's go do something.
We looked at that one.
Mike didn't go.
Hey, I'm gonna throw this thing in my bag.
Because this is the first time I ever heard it just constantly chime like that. It doesn't, and the chime is not supposed to chime
No, it's
unless
not.
there's
It's up there
To
doing.
break it
Unless
in.
there's an
an
opening.
open.
There you go.
Yeah.
They're in trouble.
That
We'll
make-
paint that with that one, how, like, actually. Get back up coming, all right?
Yeah, there's no light down there. See.
21,
Don't get that
22.
Timmy back.
I got a master's degree.
You'll be the first one to go to that, right?
How old are you, Wayne?
Oh, my God, there for the reception.
I'm looking for someone, Southsider, to take up the task of mailing at least 200 to, well, maybe 200 to 500 pieces of mail a month. You know, and we'll develop different pieces, but the postcard initially.
For the church?
Yeah, just, it's distracting when I hear it. I'm so used to the door opening.
You know what that is? The alarm probably needs a battery. Where's the alarm?
The smoke detector.
The alarm itself.
The
The alarm
alarm.
does that when it needs, it makes a little noise when it needs a
They
battery.
don't have it wired to the electricity?
Mine is, yeah, but it still needs a battery. I mean,
Ours
for
does.
some reason it needs a battery. The doors need batteries. But it's not, no, it's not, I'm sorry, it's not wired to the electrical, it's wired to the phone lines.
Yes,
And it needs a battery from time to
that's
time.
right, it is wired to the phone.
Mhm.
You're right.
There you go. The answer.
Yeah. It's,
It just came, as divine intervention just came from above.
You had an unction from the Holy
And
One.
Holy Spirit told me.
Holy Spirit told me this, spoke to my heart.
But we want to start just mailing out, and the postcard will have like a little Bible study on the back of it. We'll have new ones printed up. So we got some now that people can begin to immediately mail out whatever we got.
So we're gonna have labels, is that what we're looking to do? Or
What are we looking for you to do?
Yeah,
how are we gonna mail them? I mean, who are you mailing to?
with the local community
Okay.
and around surrounding community. But I'm looking for someone to take up the responsibility. We'll make sure you get the printed pieces. That's all that we will do. But the person getting the listing, you know, however they want to go about getting that listing, keep typing it up, getting a phone book and going to the library, getting Haynes crisscross.
Why is Southside? I mean, I just wondering.
Because they got a West Side person doing it already.
A Monday night Bible study.
Just for promoting the ministry on the south side here. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if a West Sider wanted to participate, they can, or anybody. But I mean, we wanted someone that can have access to the information. Whoever, just to be able to go ahead and, that's a chime, but that's literally,
I don't know. I just
we
heard
checked
that.
all the doors.
Well, why don't we just call Brother James when we get home?
Yeah,
and just
we
tell
checked
him?
all the doors already, so it's got to be, it may be the idea of the battery, just every so often it does that, yeah. Unless they've been set it and
Yeah, it might not be set.
set properly, yeah.
Or if it went off, and you remember ours went off, and if you don't call it.
It probably would chirp like that if it was set on.
So how do you set it? I mean, do you set it when you leave? We don't set it when we leave.
No,
Just
we
close
don't,
the door.
I don't know if they got a timer or
Oh, okay.
something after so long, they expect us to be done that it would say.
I see.
I want to try to start doing that immediately and then doing it regularly. So we'll put the question to the general populace
We'll put
on
it in a
Sunday.
bulletin.
Put it in the bulletin, yeah. Yeah. That'll work. But we're going to start doing that, and then, you know, some other things we'll start working on and developing. But I think that's the easy thing to do right now, is to get those, start circulating those pieces. Okay. Any other concerns? Yes? No?
I have a prayer request.
Okay.
Well, first a praise report. My husband has a job, but it's through like a temporary agency, and
Where does it work?
Yeah. And he's gonna have to miss church.